First team were resting strong. Now backups prove they belong. Every pass, every kick made the fans' hearts tick. Sweat and tears on the line. Prospects fighting to shine. Shot feels precious so near. Wolf one chance is here. Oh, Tampa Bay, we cheer tonight. Victory in sight on the stadium lights. On the stadium lights.
And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all our listeners and fans out there. Welcome to a podcast that is as thrilling as a game-winning touchdown or as energizing as a perfectly timed interception and as legendary as the champions themselves. This is RBLR Sports with the RBLR Bucks gang. Musab here with you, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for another episode. Well, football has started. I know it's preseason week 1, but I'll tell you this, what a game we had, all right? Now, the preseason excitement continues, and this time, we're coming off a big win against the Bengals, and, our Bucks made it happen, and I don't know, maybe they showed us they're ready to take on the season, but it's only been one game, so let's not get too excited. But I'll tell you this, new week means new opportunities. We're heading into the regular season with some momentum and confidence. So, as the saying goes, you win or you learn, and this is a great winning learning experience as we gear up for what's next. But we're excited to share our thoughts with you all, and by all means, if you enjoy what you hear, please do hit that like and subscribe. But I'm eager to check in with two of my fantastic podcast partners tonight. The whole trio is here. All right. I'm going to start off with the man to my right. He's back. All right. We got the man whose quick wit is as sharp as a quarterback spiral, with the charisma that could rival any post-game interview. And he's got a knack for finding the bright side, even in the toughest matchups. He is Mr. Zach Blaine. Zach, welcome back.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be back. I was with you that whole ride up, and then the optimistic part came out, and I didn't know you were talking about Carter there for a second. It was weird.
I'm optimistic.
On,
my goodness.
I mean, you're more optimistic than I am. Let's be honest. No, man, I'm happy to be back. This whole moving thing has been it's for the birds, brother. I'm done with it after this. I'm paying somebody to do it next time.
Okay. All righty then. Well, to my left, we got the walking playbook. He is a play-by-play maestro. His insights will keep you on the edge of your seat. He is the one and only Mr. Carter Brantley. Carter, perhaps you're a little bit more optimistic than Zach tonight, or maybe you're not. That's totally fine.
I think I'm always more optimistic than Zach, but I think that's a
true,
pretty
actually.
low bar to set.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not saying much though.
Right.
I thought maybe things would change, now that the preseason's begun. And I mean, we're going to talk about it, but I feel like we saw a lot of positives.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into it. But before we go too much further, I'd also like to plug the Best of the Bay vote. If y'all could take some time to just hop on over real quick. The website can be a bit complicated to navigate, but it's under entertainment, and then it's best podcast, and then you just got to hit RBLR Sports, and then you hit vote, and you can do that once a day, as many times as you want or as little as you want, whatever you feel. But if y'all wouldn't mind doing that, that would be wonderful. We'd really appreciate it. So yeah, after that little Best of the Bay plug, the 17-14 victory. I mean, my goodness, it was, it wasn't like mind blowing or anything, but it was nice to see the Bucks get a win in their first preseason game. But obviously the preseason, not really about team results. It's more about the individual play. So I wanted to start things off with most impressive performance. Who really oh man, that was a really nice first game. Zach, we'll start with you, man. Who had the most impressive performance in your mind from this Bucks team?
I feel like I have to lead off by saying my stepson is a Cincinnati Bengals fan because his dad is a Cincinnati Bengals fan, and I called him after the game I FaceTimed him to talk to Daxton and see how he was feeling about it. I made him cry because of this game.
Oh.
So some people take it a lot more serious than I think we do. I was very nice about it. I didn't make him cry. He cried because of the loss. I said that wrong, but it was an eventful night for him, man. It was crazy.
For sure.
But my first one, most impressive to me, the boys are letting the dogs out. I apologize for the screaming in the back.
That's all right.
But the most impressive to me was Bucky Irving. And yet the 6 yards or 6 carry for 28 yards of 4.7 yards per carry is cool. But I was more impressed with his ability to pass block because that was something that we were kind of worried about with his size. And he did a solid job just being there and getting in the way. And then when he did get the opportunity to run the ball, I mean, he ran with it. So I was impressed with him.
Yeah, Bucky was a really, really pleasant surprise. But it's one game. Don't want to put too much stock into it, obviously, but it was still really a great first step for sure. So yeah, Bucky was certainly really impressive, and a bit surprising, I think, for all of us. I think none of us really expected Bucky to be able to, like you said, hold up in the pass pro. I mean, that's a remarkable thing,
Exactly.
because there are not very many running backs who are excellent at that. That's certainly a skill that kind of falls low in the whole totem pole of skills that running backs like to develop. So if he can do that, he will be invaluable, especially because the offensive line. I know it was kind of much maligned last year, but I do want to shout out Graham Barton looked pretty good. Elijah Klein looked okay. There were a lot of youngsters in the offensive line that looked pretty good and led to Bucky Irving having the success that he did. But Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? Who was the most impressive player from this past week?
Oh man, I'll tell you this: the whole running room stepped out for me. I mean,
Absolutely.
I could easily go with Bucky Irving, but I'm gonna go with Sean Tucker. All right, I'm gonna tell you why. This guy was bowling over, defenders. I mean, he looked real good, and I mean, I think I'm forgetting the exact stats now from the top of my head, but his average yards per carry was pretty solid. I mean, I just want to kind of just give a whole shout out to the whole run game overall. I mean, all the guys who played. I really like, first of all, how, they were sharing the ball. And on top of that, I mean, every single one of them, looked pretty solid for a preseason week 1 game. I think I was pretty surprised by, I don't know if I want to call it completely successful, but our run game definitely looked a lot better than what I had expected for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they cracked the century mark total, as a team. Tucker ended up with 68 yards rushing on 10 carries. That's not too shabby. That's certainly a really nice start. And I think what could be a great development if that continues to be the case would be, we were all concerned about the power running back situation, like who's going to step up and be the kind of between the tackles guy. And maybe it's Sean Tucker, maybe it's kind of an in-house solution. Maybe, I know Jason Light's a huge fan of kind of sticking with the guys that he either drafted or signed, what have you. So maybe that's the case here. Maybe Jason Light and this Bucs front office and the coaching staff, they're excited about what he brings to the table.
I would love a 3-headed kind of monster, running back room. You know what I'm saying? Utilizing Rashad White, Bucky Irving, and then Sean Tucker, for various situations. I guess we'll have to leave out Chase Edmonds, I guess, because, I mean, all these young guys they're working hard for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun to think about. Maybe Chase Edmonds can stay a little bit more healthy this year. And maybe he can kind of be a 4th running back option, or maybe
That's a lot of
I don't know.
massive,
It's just,
so.
yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out for sure. But my most impressive performance from this past week went to safety Kayvon Merriweather. I know he's kind of been the butt of a few of our jokes at RVLR. We don't really necessarily, him and D Delaney, we don't necessarily give a whole lot of respect to, but he had a nice game. He had a pass breakup and a QB pressure, which, from the safety spot, that's kind of a big impact in one game, especially in the limited playing time that I'm sure he had since it's a preseason game. They wanted to get a lot of reps in for a lot of different guys. So getting that kind of impact out of him is nice, especially since that safety depth has been an issue or theoretically is an issue moving into this season. So I'm pretty excited about Merriweather. I'm hoping that maybe he can continue that, parlay this into a spot on that 53 or 54. 53 man roster, right?
Yep,
It's not
you got it.
Yeah,
53. I was for some reason I questioned myself there, but Merriweather's a really fun player.
that first drive, all I heard was his name.
Yeah.
First defensive stand for us. It felt like all I heard was his name, and I was like, wow, okay, this is kind of impressive. I didn't expect it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice, like I said, the Bucks seem to love to keep their own guys. They don't like to shuffle the roster a whole lot, not a lot of roster turnover. Jason Light has a lot of faith in his scouting department, his decision making, and some of the time it plays out really well, and maybe Merriweather can be kind of an unexpected nice little depth piece. That would certainly be a great development. But y'all both brought up the running backs, and I know we talked about they cracked the century mark, which I know that's not really huge, but for the Bucks it is. So I wanted to ask y'all: does this give you a little bit of excitement, or do you really need to see more? Like this is kind of just oh well, it's game one. Like who really cares? Musab, we'll start with you, man. What's your thoughts on the state of the running game after this week?
Yeah, I mean, we need to see more, but I'm happy with what we saw from Bucky. That's what mattered the most. This is the rookie we got. We got to see how the rooks, how is this rook going to pair well with, our rest of our running back room. So I was happy with what I saw, but I mean, it's only one game and it's only
Of course,
preseason. So
for sure.
as much as I want to get excited about all the things I saw this past weekend, also got to remember, I mean, this happened a couple of times. I remember last year as well. I don't know why, but there was a couple of names that we were like, oh man, this guy kind of, I remember, I think we gave a shout out to like JJ Russell, and
Yeah.
we give a shout out to, I think, like Raheem Jarrett. Oh, we're like, oh yeah, man, Raheem Jarrett. Oh man, looking real good. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
it's the
fun to
first game
dream
of
on some of these guys.
no, it's the first game of the preseason. So I'll tell you this, I just want to see consistency from all the highs we saw from this past weekend. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's fun to dream on guys, and then they usually end up not necessarily working out as much as you'd like. But Russell and Jared are still around, so maybe our optimism was not totally unfounded. But we'll certainly see. Zach, I know you've been pretty critical of the offensive line and their lack of running back talent. So, what are your thoughts on the state of the Bucks running game after this week?
I don't know. I feel like it's too early to speak on the run game itself.
For
Uh,
sure.
I will say I was very excited about the play calling of Liam Cohen. It's to me it felt more organic than it did with Canales. So no disrespect to Canales, like I appreciate him for what he did, but I'm more excited about the potential of Canales or of Cohen right now than the run game itself.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I know that, a lot of people were pretty critical of Canales getting a little predictable with his run calls, very between the tackles based. And it was kind of like the first down run percentage was a hot topic amongst Bucks fans last year. Rightfully or wrongfully, it was certainly something that, people could kind of point to and maybe use that as a criticism for Canales. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good first step, but like y'all have been saying, it's easy to dream on people early in the preseason with these kind of, breakout performances. It's kind of, you have to put that in quotes. But yeah, it's still fun that they got off to a good start. It's certainly better than, stinking up the joint. And it was on the road. It was against Cincinnati. There's certainly no rollover type of team. They do a good job over there. So I'm cautiously optimistic. It's at least a nice start. But speaking of the offense, we're going to focus on that side of the ball for this next topic as well. There's a hot debate, no longer with the starting position. That's not a question. Baker didn't even play because it's just not even important. But the backup role, Trask versus Wofford, or Wolford, excuse me. I'll never pronounce his name correctly, but they're both kind of battling out for that QB2 spot. How do y'all anticipate this playing out? Do you think Trask maybe has an edge because of his draft status from a few years ago, or do you think maybe the Bucks are ready for a change? Zach, we'll start with you, man. What are your thoughts on the backup quarterback battle?
I'm hoping we don't have to see either one of them on the field at any point this year in the regular season,
other than trash time.
Exactly. I guess if you think about it that way, I hope we see him a lot in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But I don't think. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I don't think that Trask, we're going to give up on Trask yet because of his draft status. But I will say I think that Wolford fits Cohen's offense better, and because I believe he's from the Rams as well, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
or he's played in the Rams system.
Yep.
So I think that Wolford fits the system better, and I would like him to be QB2. But with that being said, I wouldn't be shocked if Trask gets it because of where he was drafted.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. It's certainly interesting, kind of the battle of the new arrival with Cohen, like you mentioned. Since Wolford's from that Rams McVay system, similar to Cohen, versus kind of the old guard. Jason Light drafted Kyle Trask, and Bruce Arians is still involved, and he seemed to be enthusiastic about developing Trask. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I don't know. At this point, it just feels like a cut your losses type of situation. Just call it for what it is. Trask unfortunately just didn't work out. Kind of a bust. As much of a late second round pick can be for a bust. But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Certainly something to watch since they'll be getting the lion's share of snaps at that position. But Mr. Tariq, you're a former Trask train resident employee, whatever you want to call it. What are your thoughts on this backup quarterback battle?
I'll start off with the way that the public, the fans, everyone was chatting about Trask and Baker battling it out last year is exactly how it is actually going to be this year. There was never no battle last year. That was just, again, keeping the interns busy. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
This year, I really do think it's going to be a battle for sure. What I saw from this past weekend, I don't think Trask or Walford has, an edge over the other. I think it was solid. Obviously, we definitely need to see more. It's going to be a battle also during the practices, but I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, obviously, either of them, I'm fine with, just because someone's got to be backup,
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
unfortunately, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it all just comes down to may the best man win. I don't think that draft capital, whatever matters anymore. At this point, we gotta think about, listen, we're starting fresh pretty overall. I mean, if you think about our offense, this is not just, our guys running it back, with the new offensive coordinator, and this is not just a new, a returning offensive coordinator, running it back with a new offense. It's new players, new coach, a lot of new things. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of new faces around, that offensive line and the offensive coordinator. So maybe a new backup quarterback. Maybe Wolford takes that spot. Definitely a lot to think about. But overall, taking kind of a bigger picture look at this team, is there a specific player that maybe y'all are more excited to watch this season? I'll kick things off. McMillan, the wide receiver out of Washington, the young rookie. I'm really excited to see how that plays out, that wide receiver 3 battle. It's just going to be really fun because, they invested a 3rd round pick in him, which isn't a super high pick. It's not a first or a second. It's not that big of a deal if he doesn't pan out. But I think they're really high on him, and they're right to be that, confident in his ability, because he played on a really talented Washington team with 2 other elite wide receivers. So, his lack of production sort of more speaks to his situation than I think his actual talent level. So I'm pretty stoked to see him get some snaps in the preseason and maybe battle it out with Trey Palmer and Sterling Shepard for that wide receiver 3 spot. But Mr. Treek, how about you, man? Who are you most excited for this preseason to watch?
I mean, hey, listen, he was our first rounder, but I'm actually excited to see what Graham Barton's going to bring to the table, because what we saw this past weekend, I think was good. Okay, this guy
Yeah,
was 11 for 11, not allowing a single quarterback pressure.
he was outstanding.
I was really happy with what he was able to do. I'll just say this is that, I mean, I'm no offensive line expert, but I'll tell you this. There's something about Robert Hainsey getting manhandled much more than Graham Barton, which, has kind of just already solidified in my head that, Hainsey being ahead of Barton was just a little bullcrap formality that the Bucs,
Yeah,
I guess, had to do because he's a returner and the other guy's a rookie. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the other guard positions play out, especially
Mhm.
with Elijah Klein. A lot of people were kind of, oh, this might be kind of a diamond in the a hidden gem sort of situation. Maybe he turns out to be one of the starting guards opposite Cody Mauk or Brenderson. So yeah, that'll be kind of fun to watch as well. But yeah, I'm just super excited for Barton because I think that, not only is the running game going to improve, but also just the protection for Baker Mayfield. He was already fine last year, but, he did that with a pretty kind of patchwork interior offensive line. So, especially facing teams like the Falcons with Jarrett up the middle and the Panthers have Derek Brown up the middle. There are some pretty decent interior defensive linemen in this division. So having a good interior offensive line is going to be key. So I'm pretty excited to see how that all plays out. But Zach, we've been talking too much about Graham Barton. We'll toss you the mic, my man. Who are you most excited to watch this preseason?
I will say Graham Barton had a solid game. I
did.
will not take that away from him. He had a very good game.
Sure.
I'm most excited to see the backup defensive backs, if that makes sense, because I'm still very worried about it. Seeing Jermaine Burton do whatever he wanted to against our backups was kind of scary. But more so like Tyke Smith, he got beat on that crossing route pretty bad in the first drive. I'm just excited to see where we go with like the nickel back and really just our defensive backups in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a tough thing. We've talked about it to death with their lack of outside cornerback depth. They have a Christian Isian who's kind of the incumbent nickel guy. Zion McCollum's going to supposedly be the outside corner. They also have Hall from the Jets, so there's just a lot of question marks.
Keenan Isaac looked really good too. I mean, I know he had the pick, but even the pick wasn't even the impressive part to me. It was the fact that he got beat and still recovered, like the ability to recover after getting beat on that route to get the interception is what impressed me more. So I think I said the backup spot. I mean, really, Zion McCollum is the starter right now, what we all assume anyway. But I don't think he's going to have a very long leash to be on. So I think it's important to look at the depth you have at that and the battle that could take place. Maybe not in the preseason, but in the early weeks or the mid weeks of the season.
No, that's a great point. Absolutely, because he's only a 6th round pick, and he's certainly had his ups and downs throughout the first 2 years of his career. I don't think, like you said, his spot there next to Jamel Dean is by no means set in stone. So there could be a change if he does come out and start to struggle. But yeah, another really fun thing is Chris Braswell and Yaya Diaby. Hopefully Yaya Diaby whenever he returns. But yeah, Chris Braswell is certainly another name to watch this preseason just to see how he can impact that side of the ball with his pass rushing ability. Because he was a 2nd round pick and he's from Alabama, and Alabama just produces all kinds of elite talent across the board in football. So, not to label a guy based on where he went to school, but you got to be pretty darn good to be a starter there. So I'm really excited about Chris Braswell as well. Another thing that our listeners could be really excited about, and then I'm really excited about, is the RBLR shop. We've got some really fire gear there. Definitely the Chris Braswell might be too low of a bar, but I like Chris Braswell, so I'll make that comp. Definitely the Chris Braswell of online shopping. Shop.rblrsports.com. You can head over there and check out our Tampa Bay sports gear. We've got it all. The Rays season is in full swing, and with the Buck season coming back up, you're going to need some gear to watch on game day. So, or to wear on game day. That's going to be key. So we'll give you a promo code as well. It's Cannon, CANNONS. Type it in, get 10% off your entire order. All right. So the second half of the episode, I wanted to focus on sort of kind of a fun topic on not quite the over under or anything, because it's preseason. If you're saying or talking about over unders in preseason games, then good luck to you. I mean, my goodness, that's just that's a different kind of beast and a different kind of animal. But I wanted to talk about some scenarios and maybe ranking which was most likely to happen in your mind. So for the first part, I have 3 that I wanted to cover, and it's Chris Godwin getting 1,000 receiving yards, Rachaad White rushing for 1,000 receiving yards, and Baker Mayfield throwing for 4,000 passing yards. What are y'all's thoughts? In likelihood or order of likelihood to happen. Zach, we'll start with you, man. What of those three things is most likely? Just list it in order.
Most likely Baker Mayfield throwing for 4,000 yards.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, what do you think that our receiving core got better this year with
I
the
do.
addition
Yeah,
of McMillan?
absolutely.
So did our running core.
So did the offensive line.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Our running backs didn't change though, and Rashad White is a receiving running back, so
For sure.
I foresee that continuing to happen. With the addition of McMillan, Trey Palmer could have a solid year. That's why I think Rashad White running for 1,000 yards is going to be number 2, and Chris Godwin receiving 1,000 yards is going to be number 3.
Wow. Okay. See, I will say Baker threw for 4,000 yards last year. This is not totally out of the realm of possibility. He barely
With
sniffed over
Dallas
the
as
line.
his coordinator too.
That's true. He does have a new offensive coordinator. And it's certainly something to think about. But yeah, I don't mind that order. I think for me, I think I might go Chris Godwin second instead of last, and Rashad White rushing for 1,000 yards last. But Rashad White also almost did it last year, so it's a tough call. I don't think that any of them are totally impossible. And if all three happen, I think you're looking at the NFC South Division champs pretty easily, pretty comfortably, just because that's 3 really dynamite performances, and that's not even including Mike Evans, who's one of the best wide receivers in football. So all 3 of happening would be super, just mind-blowing, exciting, really fun stuff for the Bucs. But yeah, I'd probably have to go Baker throwing for 4,001, Chris Godwin number 2, and then Rashad White running for 1,000 yards number 3, just because I do think Bucky Irving, they drafted him for a reason. I do think that he maybe shares a little bit more of the load offensively running the ball than Rashad White and whoever it was last year, Keyshawn Vaughn, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of my thought
Vaughn
process.
got traded, didn't he? Or
What's that?
Vaughn got released before the season, didn't he?
Yeah, he's gone. He's no
No,
longer on
before
the
last season, because he was with somebody else last year, wasn't he?
Yeah,
thought
he might have gotten released in
Wasn't he with us for a bit?
He may have
yeah,
been.
I think he might have gotten
no.
cut like in the middle of the year. He certainly
I don't
wasn't.
remember who was running with Rashad White last year. I know Edmonds for a little bit.
Yeah, it was Edmonds and then
And
Tucker.
Giovanni, we had Giovanni Bernard.
Bernard was Bernard wasn't with us last year.
Bernard was.
Wait, no, hold on. Yeah.
Bernard was Brady era.
Oh man,
No,
that's what I'm saying, guys. That's how bad our running game was.
that's tough. Oh man, I mean, I feel you. Like, you're not wrong. That's just, oh man, that is a brutal thing to think about. Oh man, poor Giovanni Bernard. He got roasted in his time in Tampa Bay, and rightfully so. He was awful, but my goodness, that poor guy. I think he's retired now. I'm pretty sure he's out of the league at this point. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But Mr. Tariq, what are your most likely scenarios for these rankings?
Oh, sheesh. You know what? I wanted to change it up, but realistically, you had a really good point with we got Bucky for a reason, so that's why I'm gonna go Rashad White rushing for 1,000 yards as my second. I'm gonna go Baker first, then Chris Godwin getting 1,000 receiving yards or more as my third. I just think Baker is just gonna, he's gonna ball out more than last year. This is his team now. Rashad White, I think he's just, we're gonna see better things. And Chris Godwin, I think it's likely, but I don't know. I think we got a lot more weapons now, and yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a tough call with Chris Godwin because some of it hinges on health. His injury history has not been super kind recently. Unfortunately, he does get a little banged up here and there, but I still think it's certainly within the realm of possibility. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how the touches get distributed both in the running back room and with receivers, just because, like we mentioned, Trey Palmer and McMillan are really, I don't want to speak for y'all, but I think pretty highly of both of them. So I think at some point that, they're going to be prominently featured in this offense. So Chris Godwin getting to 1,000 yards, certainly not a given, but I think number 2 is a good spot for it for me. But yeah, I totally understand Rashad White running for 1,000 yards. I like it. So part 2 of this, we're going to focus on the defense. Same kind of thing. 3 scenarios. The first one, this might be a bit This might be a bit less likely. These are kind of more far-fetched. Kalijah Cansey racking up double-digit sacks. That's the first one. Second one, the pass defense isn't bottom 5, which sounds depressing, but yeesh. And then KJ Britt maintains that starting linebacker position for the whole year. What's the most likely to least likely? Musab, I'll throw it right back to you. What are your thoughts on these 3 scenarios?
Oh man, I'll probably say most likely is the pass defense is in bottom 5.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm a lot more optimistic. I think
Blind
we can be bought.
optimistic, it seems like.
What do you say?
I said blindly optimistic.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think things are going to change a little bit. And the reason why I say that is just because, well, we're also looking at the other 2, which I think are a little bit interesting. I think I'm going to go with KJ Britt as my second one, starting linebacker all season. Unfortunately, Cansey's not going to rack up double-digit sacks. I love the man, but I just think that's realistically, like if I had to put money on these, yeah, I would definitely not put my money on Cansey. Love you,
Yeah,
Cansey, but sorry.
no, he's great, but yeah, getting after the passer just is a tough thing in this
Well,
defense.
he had what, 4 sacks? Yeah, 4
Yeah,
sacks last year. So
right.
I
It's
mean,
quite a
are
jump.
we going to see a drastic change like that? Who knows? Maybe he gets those kind of like assisted sacks, kind of like pulls a little Yaya Diaby and maybe
Right.
racks up a couple more. But the other one should be interesting, though. Honestly, I'm excited to see if someone's going to fight KJ Britt for that spot because we do got Servassier Dennis, who I feel like we got some high expectations. JJ Russell, I feel like he's what do you call? He's due. And then
Yeah,
Kalen DeLoach, honestly, didn't know much about him, but I feel like his name is becoming a little bit more relevant than before. I mean, so we'll see.
yeah, and I really like the JJ Russell shout out because there are some people that are a little high on JJ Russell. Maybe not quite to get into the KJ Britt spot right now, but at some point, if KJ Britt falters a little bit, or maybe JJ Russell impresses in practice enough, yeah, that's certainly a discussion that we could be having at some point this year. I do get you on the Cansey double-digit sacks totals. It's tough from that interior defensive line spot. It's just hard to rack up pressures. You really have to be like an Aaron Donald type of dominant force on the interior. And I love Cansey. I think he's a great player, and I'm really expecting him to have a great year. But that's just not necessarily where I expect his production to come from. So mine's going to be I'm going to go KJ Britt as the starting all season at that linebacker spot is the most likely. I'm going to go with Cansey racking up double-digit sacks as second most likely. And unfortunately, I got to put the pass defense being bottom 5. Wait a second. No, I got that reversed. The pass
Yeah,
defense
about
being
this. Yeah.
the pass defense being bottom 5 is going to be second most likely. I'm sorry. And then KJ Britt being the starting linebacker all year is going to be the most likely. Cansey being last. The pass defense being bottom 5 isn't a foregone conclusion, but they were bottom 3 last year. They weren't really very good. If I was putting money on it, I'd probably say Britt and the pass defense being bottom 5 are definitely the 2 most likely. I could definitely see those happening. But yeah, Cansey racking up double-digit sacks is going to be tough. Mr. Blaine, here's your chance to crap on that Bucs secondary. So go for it.
All right. So first overall, 100% is JJ or Jesus.
KJ Britt.
KJ.
I'll look at it in a second. Okay, big guy, give me 1 minute. KJ Britt is going to be the starter or a starter for the whole season. Who realistically, there is no one that's going to take his spot. I'm not high on JJ Deloach. I like him from what I've seen. He's not ready to be a starter. I'm not like super high on KJ Britt, but unless we bring somebody else in, I'm higher on KJ Britt than I am on anyone else in our linebacker room right now. I mean, obviously outside of Levante David, like that goes without saying.
Okay.
But number 2 is Cansey getting double-digit sacks. Do I think it's going to happen? No, not a chance. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's only one guarantee in these 3 scenarios, but I would put money on Cansey getting double-digit sacks before I put money on this defensive back room being any good.
Man, I'm gonna remember this, guys.
Remember it. Mark it down.
Yeah, I'm gonna mark it. Yeah, August
five.
14th is
Top 5 is an upgrade from last year. And what did we
Wait.
up?
when they make bottom 6. I'm gonna have a little like party.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that's
I
all.
misspoke. I meant the Bucks secondary being bottom 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, like you think that it's the
Oh,
least likely?
wait. Okay.
So you think wait, and now I'm a little confused.
Okay.
I'm confused
So the
too.
Bucks secondary being bottom 5th.
Yeah,
I
like
thought you
bottom
said
5.
not, I thought in the thing you said not being bottom 5th.
It's my bad. That's a miscommunication.
so
on
you
So
that.
basically, you're saying we're gonna be like one of the 5 worst like teams.
Oh yes,
Okay.
no, put that at 1.
Okay,
Put that
put
at
that
1.
at 1.
Yeah, no,
Oh
no,
yeah. Oh no,
Whoa.
actually no. Yeah, don't wait.
miles ahead of anything else here.
Wow. Okay, so you think that
No,
Yeah, they will be a
no,
bottom
I
5
would-
defensive back.
no.
is that a
No,
Zach
see,
Blaine guarantee?
That's why I put that at number 3. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a Zach Blaine number. The guarantee it's going to happen.
Wow. Putting
And
money on
then,
it.
so I guess Kancey getting double-digit sacks will be last.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. So KJ Britt is number 2 in the likelihood order.
Yeah, I was confused there. I apologize. Yeah,
No,
no,
that's-
it will be a bottom 5.
That's my bad. I threw it off. I got confused myself.
Yeah. Wait.
You know,
Oh
it's
man, I'm gonna have to
all
change
these
my
numbers and
now.
least like
Yeah.
it's like we're in statistics class.
All these numbers and bizarre scenarios got
That's
me. Yeah.
That's right. I didn't do very well in statistics class. I think I passed with like a C or a B. So yeah, not my strong suit. But yeah, it was just something I threw together. I thought that it would be interesting. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Zach is so low on the secondary. But man, if they don't finish bottom 5, there's got to be like some kind of retribution here, because this is a Zach Blaine guarantee.
You gotta buy me a University of Tennessee shirt.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll wear a Falcons shirt on one.
You gotta buy me like an autograph signed Joe Milton Tennessee jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe like a gift card or something. I feel like we got to get some kind of.
If they're not a top 5 defense, or if they're not a bottom 5 defensive back group, I'll buy a gift card and we'll give it away to a listener or something.
That sounds great. That's perfect. We'll book
Okay,
that.
we can do that. Yeah.
There you go.
If the Bucks pass defense, it will. Now I'm going to go by yardage. That's what we're going. That's what we're agreeing upon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't want you. Oh well, they were bottom 5 and points scored though. And,
No, we'll do yardage. Yeah, we'll do yardage.
okay, yardage sounds good. So if they're not bottom 5 in pass yardage given up at the end of the season, we're going to do a giveaway to a listener, courtesy of Zach Blaine, for a gift card to whatever place of your choosing. Do you want to put a price limit, or can it be like
We'll
thousands?
figure that out. We'll figure that out when we get there, because I did just buy a house, so I will.
Fair enough.
I will make a good on it. We just don't know how much it's going to be yet. We'll figure it out though.
You know
For
what?
sure.
I'm also count me in. If they do make the top 5, then I'll buy a gift card.
Okay, so if they do make bottom 5,
Yeah.
then you'll
Basically,
buy
someone either Zach or I are gonna pay for the gift card.
Someone's
Sounds
getting
good.
a dinner or something from us.
Yeah, someone's
For
getting a dinner. It comes down to who's paying for dinner.
That's
Yeah,
right. Dinner courtesy of the Bucks secondary, for better or for worse. Courtesy of RBFR. So yeah, that's we'll write that down in the books. But we really appreciate y'all for tuning in. We're nearing the end of our episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And if you want to stick around and find out, what gift card, who wins, and all that nonsense, you can give us a follow at RBLR Sports. You can like and subscribe and keep up with the podcast, keep up with the show, so then you can listen to whatever other ridiculous shenanigans that we put money on or whatever. Whether it's the Bucs secondary or if it's the running game, I can see that in the future. Maybe we'll get Zach to bet on the Bucs running game being good. There she is. There's Hazel. There she is. Hey, what are her thoughts on the Bucs secondary? Huh?
Hey,
Yeah.
Bucks secondary. You got your shoes?
Yeah. I bet she can cover better than Zion McCollum. Yeah.
I think I just heard I2 also agree with you, Carter. I think Kayvon Merriweather played phenomenal.
That's right. She's a big Kayvon Merriweather fan.
He's got that. Yeah.
She's gonna get a D Delaney and a Kayvon Merriweather jersey. That's what she's.
She's got that. She's got that. Don't sleep on. She got that. Don't sleep on Marcus Banks and Rashad Wisdom though. Face.
Oh gosh, man, we're getting deep into the Bucks depths of the roster here. My goodness. But anyways, we really appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you want more from Mr. Blaine, Mr. Tariq, and myself, definitely, like I said, follow, like, and subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see y'all next week after this week 2 of the preseason. We'll have another great episode next week. But until then,
Go Bucks.
Go
that's right.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.
On February 10th.